Hello, my name's Rob and welcome to Swift Slots. A few videos back you may have seen that I did a Revoslot Alfa Romeo white kit build and I enjoyed it so much I had to do another one. Which one though? I ended up doing this one, the Revoslot McLaren GTR. Now this put me in a little bit of a quandary because I wasn't quite sure what livery to paint it. Now I've already got the MR slot car Golf coloured version, which is obviously the dark blue one. So couldn't really do Golf again, although I was sorely tempted to do the light blue or possibly the ultra modern dark grey with the bright orange. That's quite a nice livery, to be honest. But I wrestled around with some ideas and I eventually ended up going for Marlborough. It's an incredibly striking livery and it sits extremely well on this McLaren. Picture here, case in point. So that's what I'm going to do. Marlborough GTR. So I'm going to get you on my bench, just run through this white kit quickly just to show you what's in the kit, and then we'll crack on and we'll get painting it. Okay, so for those that don't know, this is how your Revoslot white kit turns up. Rather budget basement, unceremonious, cardboard and cheap clear plastic. It would have been nice to have had it in a hard case so you can display it afterwards, but you know, it is what it is. So let's crack open this case and see what we got. And there we go. One car, bit of big bits, and an instruction manual. So there's the instruction manual. As usual, the standard sort of Revoslot style instruction manual, all the parts, all the spares, and on the back, the option parts and some part numbers, all very normal. And then we have all these juicy bits. So let's dump some of this to one side for a minute and we'll go through it. So you've actually got two different style wheel centers. Hang on, let's open this packet because there's some cool stuff in here. Let's dump it there. Right. So we've got this rather nice blackened etch which goes somewhere. And we have some more blackened etch. And we also have this beautifully fine radiator grille, probably. That's an incredible part. And the two styles of wheel center. This is cool. Little pre-painted towing eye. That's pretty neat. And some more etches and some more grills. That's particularly nice. Little black something or another. More black etch. Has actually got some etching in it. And these rather cool brake discs. They're going to look pretty epic behind the wheel. So they're very nice. They're all etched and looking smart. So, not wanting to lose any of those parts. That's all those. We'll leave those there. And then we've got the glass with the headlight lenses and tail lenses and other bits and bobs, I guess. And we have, I'll take this out of the packet because this is quite interesting, I guess. We have a Lexan interior. The driver figure is a driver figure, but the Lexan interior is quite neat. Very, very nicely vacuumed, very thin, very, very light. Obviously with a focus on performance. And the driver figure, he's a modern day open-faced driver, sorry, closed-faced modern racing driver. A nice sort of chest height driver with a small sporty steering wheel. So that's those. We've got, I won't open this packet, but we've got two guides. We've got a deep guide for wood and a shallower guide for ordinary sort of tracks, electric sport and so on. And we got some braids and a magnet, not that we're going to use that, but all the usual bits of stuff for that. And then we have this packet here, which is the body parts. And in the body parts, there's a bewildering amount of items in this quite impressive pack. And it just makes you wonder, or makes you realise, just how much the manufacturers have to make one car. Everyone should really build a white kit, because I think it gives you another level of appreciation of just how much work goes into these cars by the manufacturers. We look at a finished car and we say, oh, this should have been done right, or that should have been done differently, or whatever. But I think most of us don't really appreciate just how many parts the manufacturer has to go through to make one whole kit. It's quite impressive. So there's all that lot there. That's quite a pile that we've got to go in there now. Oh, here we got something else here. Oh, here's the aerial. Pretty nice little rubberized aerial. I use these on my rally cars, in fact. They're called indestructible aerials, and I would say they probably are. They're very, very rubbery. Windscreen wiper. And then, fishing through this pile of debris, we've got the very, very, very nice body. And it really is a very, very nice body. Really, really nicely moulded. There's no flash. There's no marks, there's nothing. It's just basically ready for painting. It's an incredibly nice casting. And then we've got the brass threads for the bolts in the chassis. And then, actually, have we got the rubbers? Yes, we have. So in here we got the little rubber boots which go on the ends of these posts. And a little bit of information if you don't know. There's different coloured boots for these body posts, and they have different thicknesses, so you can actually adjust the ride height up and down, front and back, depending on what rubber boots you fit on these posts. I know that the Alfa Romeo needed one black and one red. I think the red one in the back, but I can't quite remember. But this one tends to, or would appear to need, black all the way around, so it obviously doesn't need tipping up in any direction. Just the set of blacks all round seems to work. And here's the beautiful, beautiful Revoslot chassis. And in fairness, probably the main reason why I love the Revoslot so much, they've just got a big boy grown-up feel about them. You can't really beat metal. The Revoslots may not be the fastest racing cars, but they're very, very quick, as we all know. But they're not necessarily the fastest. But there's just something so tangible and grown up about aluminium, ball races, and so on. They're just so tactile. And they're just such a nice platform. They're just brilliant. So obviously, as we know, you can replace all these nuts for deeper nuts to give you more pod float, and so on and so forth. You can buy the stub axle front ends for them to give you independent front wheels, and so on and so forth. This one's got, as you can see, a solid axle. We've got 4 pillow bearings, ball races and all the pillow bearings, beautifully meshed straight out the back. 21,000 motor. It's actually a short can, or a flat can, whatever you want to call it, I'm not entirely sure. They're all standard to Revoslot. And there's the bottom. Really, really, really nice. Aluminium wheels all round. Nice quality silicone wire. Just a really, really nice thing. So, there you go. There's the chassis. And then, here are my decals. And I got this set here, because I wasn't quite sure how they would sit on the body. So because of that, I also picked up these Matus ones as well, just as a little bit of extra, because this set is a little bit samey. If I wanted to get some extra sponsors on there, this set obviously doesn't really have them. This one has got a little bit of shell and so on, just in case I didn't have any of those transfers in my stash that I've got. So I've got this one as a little bit of a backup. But between these two, I should get the job done. So, okay, there we are. So that's everything that I've got for my white kit. So let's crack on. Let's get this body all sorted out and get some paint on it. Okay, so in the intro, I referred to this piece of paper as the instructions. Now, obviously, they're not instructions. It's just a pamphlet on upgrade parts and service parts. I wish it was instructions. However, Revoslot has taken a little bit of flack historically, or in the recent past, for not actually having any meaningful instructions. And that is kind of a fair criticism, I think. However, it's not that difficult, really, to work out where all these parts go. So in the case of this car, I've got some etch parts. So obviously those can go aside for a minute. I've got the interior, that can go aside. I've got the glass, that can go aside. And I've got the bag of bits, that can go aside. They're easy. Obviously chassis, that can go aside. So here we are. Here is the bag of parts that I deem body parts, although they're not all particularly body parts necessarily. So to find out where all these bits go, you just take apart and like a jigsaw, just kind of work out where you think it might go. So that's obviously the rear panel. I've got a pair of spoilers. Now I've got two bonnets here. So I just got to pick the bonnet that I want and then set the bonnet I want aside, which is that one there. So I can dump that one there. Now this piece here, I don't actually know where this piece goes. So it'll be a case of trying to work out, well, what might it fit to? I'm not entirely sure. So I think it could go on there. So there we are. So that's it. So it's just like a jigsaw puzzle. And obviously I can choose my wheel centers that I want. I'm going to choose these ones here. And then I've got that one. Obviously that one probably goes on, there's probably exhaust. So it probably goes on the back. Probably does. There's some telltale signs there. There's three little pins there, and they, what do you know, it all fits together like that. Obviously the driver's head. Now I've got, there's a headlight, the interior lights, so obviously that's that. There's a roof scoop, and so on and so forth. You can find what most of these parts are just by looking. We got these pieces here. Now on first glance, where would they go? When I hover it around, not entirely sure. I actually know that they go on the side there like that. So, but you can also find out where they go by looking at reference pictures on the internet with other cars and so on. So I know that some cars have got like a little bib spoiler across the front there that's not obvious. Well, the reason why there's pins on the little spoiler but not in the body is because if you have the spoiler that goes on the car, you want those holes, but if you don't have the spoiler, you don't want the holes. So it's easier to not have to fill holes than fill holes. So if you've got a spoiler that goes on the front and you think it goes on the front, but it doesn't have any locating pins, if you look on the inside, you may well find a couple of dimples where you would drill a drill. Because if you didn't want that spoiler, you'd be cursing if you had to fill the holes up. So this is why they do it. So it's just a case of going through all these parts, one by one, like a jigsaw puzzle, working out exactly what part is what. It doesn't really take a lot of time, but you may just have to think the process through a little bit. It's definitely worth doing. But that's how I go through and find out where these parts go. It'd be lovely if there was instructions, but there isn't. So we are where we are. But just treat it like a jigsaw puzzle, just step by step. So I just said that these parts here, I know where they go because I've looked on the internet and I've offered it up to the car and there's one already there. Maybe I've pushed it in, or maybe they've already supplied them pushed into the car. Turns out that they actually have. There's one here and one here, and I've just looked under my loop and they're actually pre-melted. So this body has already had two of its parts that are found in the parts pack already fitted. So I've now got duplicates. So there's another thing to keep your eye on. Make sure that you haven't got duplicate parts and you're trying to work out where stuff goes and it's already on the car. So that's quite handy, I guess. And here's another thing to consider. This component here actually goes into the back of the rear bumper, and then inside that you have the exhaust stack. Now the exhausts want to be black, I suspect, or something similar to that, but this rear valance into this bumper wants to be bumper colour. So you'd be as well to pre-glue this onto the rear bumper. Then what you can also do is offer it up to the car, check your paint scheme, because you may well find that you want to paint all of it together. So you might want to glue this part into your bumper and then your bumper into the car to spray it as one. And it's the same with this roof spoiler. That roof spoiler, I want to use it, so I fit it into the car before I even paint the car. Same with the bonnet. I might well just glue the bonnet straight into the car before I even paint it to get that job out the way with as well. So, but this piece here, the rear grille with the rear lights, that actually wants to be black. So I don't want to glue that into the rear panel. I want to leave that out. So that just things to consider. Check your work before you do anything. Make sure you understand what you want to do with your body kit depending on the colour scheme. And things like the rear spoiler, that's going to stay off because that wants to be a different colour. These front headlight pods, they're going to be black, so they want to be left off because they'll be too difficult to mask. The rear view mirrors, those again, they could probably stay off the car, or you could even put them on the car, to be fair, because they may end up being body colour, but they could be easier painted away from the car. So just work out exactly what you want to do according to your paint scheme. One quick thing to note, this tab here, there's a slot in this rear bumper, and the tab slides into the slot and actually holds the whole thing together like that. Really easy. And then, as I might have said earlier on, this rear piece of the bumper goes on the 4 pins that are already on the bumper there to locate in. So I'm going to glue this together now, scrub this body down, and we'll get some primer on it. And I'm going to stick the body together with EMA, or plastic weld, or MEK, depends on where you buy it. It's all the same stuff, it's just fluid that melts the plastic together and does a really good job. I don't really like using the melts, I'd rather glue it together, and super glue can be a bit brittle, so be using this. Okay, so here is a classic example of what I was saying about the front air dam not having the holes drilled. My air scoop is that exact position. Now the back end clips into there and then drops down, but it doesn't go all the way down. And I look inside and there's 2 little pins, but there's no holes in the roof. But when you flip the body over, there's 2 little tiny indents on the inside of the body. Now if you wanted to model this car without the scoop, you'd be cursing if you had to fill those holes. But because the holes are marked out on the inside for using this roof scoop version, that makes it really easy. So all we need to do is measure the pin. In this case it's about 1.1 mil. Take a 1.1 mil drill in a little pin vise, and chase the holes out. Just like that. And then it's a simple case of popping your roof vent in, pushing the pins down, and you're ready to go again. Okay, so this video's run to about 20 minutes long now. That's probably enough for this one video. So we'll stop it right here at the end of all the black work on the body. So in the next video, we can get all the water slide decals on, get a gloss coat on it, run it around the track and see what she'll do. So if you've enjoyed this sort of content, maybe you'll subscribe. And if you hit the little bell button, that would be awesome. So until the next time, thank you very much.